Hey everybody, this is Christina from Craft Muse, and today's tutorial is going to be for this little Loomigurumi bunny. So this is what you're going to be making today. It's kind of like a sprawled out floppy bunny, I guess you could say. I didn't want to do like the normal bodies, like, you know, sitting up like this. I kind of liked how it came out this way. So this is what we'll be making, and I will have a band count in the description box below. For this, you can use as many colors as you want, but as you can see here, I only used 2 colors in all to make this. So I did white as the main body color, and then for like the accent colors, which is what I'm going to be calling it, is the accent color. When you read my cards, I've used the one of the greens in the pastel packs, not the lightest mint green, but the darker one in the pack. So those are the only 2 colors that I used. And then for the eyes, I used 8mm safety eyes. If you guys don't have that, you can also use beads and buttons or wrap bands, or a different size if you don't have the 8mm. And then for the ear, I just added 2 little flower buttons around the ear. But you guys can either just leave that or add your own little details to the bunny. And then some other supplies that she'll need are your rainbow loom or crochet hook. You'll also need a stitch marker or a cclip, some polyfil to stuff the bunny up with, and let's see, I think that's it. So let's get started. We're going to start on making the legs, the arms, the ears, and the tail. So I'll make one of each of the legs and ears with you, and then you guys will have to pause the video and go back and make another one, because I've already made my ear, leg, and arm. So I'll make one with you guys and then just go back and make your own for the other one, and then we'll make the tail, and then we'll start on the head and the body. So let's get started on this. I don't know how long this tutorial is going to be. It might be a little bit longer than my normal ones, just because there's kind of a lot to get done. So we're going to go ahead and start off with the ears. And right here it says start with the accent color. So anytime you see an AC, that just stands for accent color. You guys can call it whatever you want. I wasn't really sure what to call it. So AC stands for the accent color, which is where I used, you know, the green. So for the little feet and the arms, and then the tips of the ears, and then I mixed it in with the tail. And then if you see BC, that just stands for the body color that you choose to make your bunny in. So, or you could, you know, just do it all one color. It doesn't have to be different colors. So for me, I am going to be using, for my accent color, these, what are those, the tie-dye bands, and then white for the body color. So we need to make an ear, so I've made one. So the first thing that we want to start off with is the magic ring with 6 stitches. So I'm going to wrap my band around my hook 3 times, or 2 times, so that I have 3 loops on my hook. And then I'm going to take another band and bring this capping band onto it. Slide it towards the center, push down, and then reclaim the other end. And then you want to bring this first band here under this one here. So just slide it under, keep it nice and loose. Next you want to go through your capping band. Make sure you go through all 3 loops in your capping band, so that you've got your capping band on the hook, and then this band over here. You're going to grab another band, bring it through the cap band only, so leave this one over here alone. Just bring it through the cap band and reclaim the other end. So you should have 3 loops on your hook. You're going to slide this first loop here under these 2. So that was 2 stitches. Now we need to do 4 more. So grab another band, bring it through your capping band, reclaim onto your hook, and slide under. So that was 3. Same thing. There's 4. There's 5. And 1 more. And 6. So now what you should have is something that looks like this. And you should have a total of 6 stitches. So those are the little V shapes on the sides. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then this band on my hook counts as a stitch as well, so that is number 6. So now we can move on to row 2. What we want to do is just single crochet around in each of these 6 stitches. So we still will be using the accent color for this round. So I'm going to stick my hook through that very first stitch there, grab a band, bring this band through the stitch only, and leave this band over here alone. So just bring it through the stitch, reclaim, and then slide this band under these 2. So that was 1 single crochet. I'm going to go all the way around and do 5 more. So I'm going to go into the next stitch, bring it through the stitch only, reclaim, and slide under. So that was 2. Go into my 3rd stitch, through this stitch, onto my hook, slide under. That's 3. This is 4. There's 5. And 6. So you should still have your 6 stitches around. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. So that was the end of row 2. Next, what we want to do, this is still going to be in the accent color. For row 3, we are going to be doing a single crochet in the first stitch. Our second stitch will be an increase. And then we'll just keep repeating this pattern all the way around so that we end up with 9 stitches. So if you want, go ahead and place your C-clip or your stitch marker in that band that's on your hook. So my first stitch is going to be a single crochet. Second stitch is going to be an increase. So for an increase, I just want to put 2 single crochets in that stitch. So there's 1 single crochet. Now I'm going to go back into that second stitch and do another single crochet. My third stitch will be a single crochet. My fourth stitch is going to be an increase, so 2 single crochets in your fourth stitch. So there's 1, go back in, and 2. Fifth stitch is going to be a single crochet, and then in my last stitch here I'm going to take out my C-clip and I'm going to do an increase, and that's 2 single crochets. So there's 1, go back into your 6th stitch, and 2. So you should now have 9 stitches around. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. I'm going to place my C-clip in the band on my hook. So now we can move on to rows 4 through 7, and this is where we are now switching to our body color. So for rows 4 through 7, that's a total of 4 rounds, we're just going to be single crocheting around in these 9 stitches. So grab whatever color you're using for your body, your main body color, and let's start. So we are switching colors here, so I'm going to go into my first stitch, grab my body color, and I'm going to bring it through the stitch and through this loop over here. So through the stitch and through this loop. Then reclaim the other end and then slide that under in a loose slip knot. So that was my first I'm going to go into my second stitch and just do a regular single crochet. And then I'm just going to keep going around till I get to the last stitch. And we're just keeping the 9 stitches. Last one here. So you should still have 9 stitches. So if you can see here, this very first white, it's kind of pointing this way. This is not actually a stitch. So when you do your next round, where you're going to skip that one and just go into the one that's right next to it, that's going in the right direction. So if you count, you skip that one, you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. Place your C-clip on, and I'll do the second row with you, and then you guys can pause the video and do 2 more rounds. So again, we are just doing single crochets in the 9 stitches. And here's my last one. Okay, so what you want to do now is just pause the video and do 2 more rows around of single crochets. And then meet me back here when you're finished and we'll start on the legs. Okay, so I have finished up with one ear and I want to make a change really quick. I actually want you to add 1 more round onto the ear so that you have a total of 5 rows around for the ear, just to make it a little bit longer. So I do really apologize about that. I'll change it to right now. So just add 1 more round to your ears so that you can get the same length that I have here. So 5 rounds instead of 4. So add another round to your ear, and then once you have done that, stick your hook in the next stitch, grab a band, a white band or your body color band, bring it through the stitch and the band that's on your hook, reclaim and tie that into a slip knot. And then I'm just going to fold it like this. Oh no, these we're going to sew on separately, so never mind. So just leave it like this. And then now you can pause the video and make a second ear, and just make sure that you add that additional round in your body color once you get to that point. So go ahead and pause the video, make your second ear, and then we'll start on the legs. Alright, so you should have your 2 ears finished. So now let's go ahead and start on the legs. So again, I'm going to make one with you because I already have my other made. So this is what the leg will look like here. I've only stuffed the bottom part of the leg, so this top part has no stuffing at all. So it's just this bottom part here. So we'll just be adding like a teeny tiny bit here just to kind of give the foot a little bit of shape. So we will be doing that. So get your stuffing ready. You just need like a tiny bit for each leg. So let's start off with your whatever color you're using for the accent color. So we want to do a magic ring with 6 stitches in it. I should just like pre-make a whole bunch of magic rings just because you have to do it so much. So yes, 6 stitches again. So just like we did with the ears. we want to do with this one. There's 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. So you should have your 6 stitches around. Next, what we want to do for row 2 is we want to increase in each of these stitches. So for each stitch around, we are going to be putting 2 single crochets in each one, so that we end up with 12. And again, this round here is going to be in your accent color. So I'll go into my first stitch and do my first single crochet. So there's 1. Go back into that first stitch and do your second single crochet. There's 2. Now I'll go into my second stitch and do the same thing. So there's 1, go back in, and 2. Third stitch, there's 1, go back in, and 2. Fourth stitch, there's 1, go back in your fourth stitch, and 2. Fifth stitch, there's 1, go back in, 2, and then your last stitch, there's 1, go back in, and 2. So you should now have 12 stitches around. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and the one on your hook is 12. Now I'm going to go ahead and place my C-clip in that band that's on my hook. Now we will be switching over to our body color for the rest of the rows around. So now we are on row 3. And what we want to do is single crochet in the 12 stitches, but instead of going through the entire stitch like we have been doing, we're just going to be single crocheting in the front loops only. So that would be these loops here. So to do that, you're just going to pick up the front loop. So instead of going through the whole stitch, I'm just going to stick my crochet hook in between and just be crocheting in those front loops. So I'll go into my first stitch, and since I'm doing a color change, I need to do my slip stitch. So I'll grab my body color, bring it through and through this one, reclaim, and then slide this one under very loosely. So that was my first one. Now I'm going to go in through my second stitch, just the front loop only, and do a single crochet. I'm going to go into my third stitch, front loop only, single crochet. I'm going to keep going around doing the same thing, so just the front loops. Just the front loops. Ugh. Trying to get this tutorial out by Easter, or before Easter, so you guys have time to make it. But of course you can make this anytime you want. It's not just for Easter, but I thought it'd be, you know, had to add a couple of little Easter things to my channel. Alright, so I'm going to take my C-clip out and then grab the front loop only of my last stitch and do my single crochet. So you should still have 12 stitches in your round, and then when we work on this next round, you're going to be skipping this first stitch here. That's from the slip stitch that we made. So if you count skipping that one, you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12. So I'm going to place my C-clip on my hook. So now we are on row 4. So this is going to be repetitive for the next 3 rounds. We're just going to be single crocheting around in the 12 stitches. So for rows 4 through 6, just do single crochets around. So I'm going to skip that very first white one, go into my next one, and do a single crochet. There's 1, keep going around to the end. There's 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and then I'm going to take the C-clip out, go into the next last one and do 12. So that was 1 row around. I'm going to put my C-clip back in. So now what you need to do is pause the video and complete 2 more rows around. I just want to make sure that it's just 2 rows so that I don't have to tell you to go back and make another one. So 2 more rows around in the 9 stitches, the 12 stitches. So pause the video and I'll meet you back here in a minute. Okay, I am back and this is what yours should somewhat look like. So now we want to do some decreases so that we end up with 9 stitches. So go ahead and place your C-clip on the band that's on your hook. And the pattern for this round is going to be a single crochet, followed by a decrease. And then you'll just keep repeating this till you get to the end, and then we'll end up with 9 stitches. So the first is going to be a single crochet. Second one is a single. And now I want to do a decrease. So I am going to be picking up the front loop of my next stitch. So just the front loop, don't go through the entire stitch. Just grab that first loop of your stitch. And then the same thing with the next stitch over. So I'm just grabbing the front loop of the next stitch over so that I've got 2 stitches. And then I'm going to grab a band and I want to bring this band through these 2 loops on my hook. And then I'll reclaim the other end and then just slide under. So that is a decrease if you didn't already know that. So now we're going back to single crochets. So single, single, and then I want to do another decrease. So pick up that front loop and then go to the next stitch, the front loop. Bring your band through those 2 loops up onto your hook and slide under. Back to our single crochets. So there's 1, 2, and then we will end with a decrease. So I'm going to just take out my C-clip, pick up the front loop of the next stitch and the front loop of the stitch next to that. Bring your band through the 2 loops up onto your hook and slide under. So you should now have 9 stitches. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. I'm going to place my C-clip there. And before we move on, I'm just going to put a teeny tiny bit of stuffing in. Just a tiny bit. So probably like this. Because you don't want your leg to be bulging. You just kind of want some to help keep the shape a little bit. So this is definitely enough. So you're just going to push that down in there. And that's it. That's all we're using. And then now we're just going to keep single crocheting around for 3 rounds. So we're just going to be single crocheting in the 9 stitches for a total of 3 rounds. And I hope that is right as well. So if I have to come back and tell you to do an additional round, I apologize. Sometimes when I'm writing down my instructions, I'll change it, but then I'll forget to write down my changes. So I apologize for those last minute changes that I sometimes throw in there. So let's do our first row round of single crochets. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and then I'm going to take my C-clip out. And 9. And then go ahead and pause the video and do 2 more rounds of the 9 stitches. And then I'll let you know if that's all we need to do for the leg. So I'll see you guys in a minute. Alright, so I finished up with my 2 additional rounds, and we do not need to add another row to this. So now what we can do is just go into the next stitch over, grab a body color band, bring it through all the loops on your hook, reclaim, and tie that into a tight slip knot. And then I am going to squeeze these together, go on the other side and grab some of those last loops in the corner, and grab another body color band and bring that through up onto my hook and slide under and tie that nice and tight. And we'll use these bands to attach this onto the body later. So you can set that foot aside, and then you'll have to go ahead and make another one. So pause the video and go back and make your second leg, and then we will move on to the arms, which is pretty much the same thing, just smaller. Alright, time for some arms. So this is the arm here that we're going to be making, and I did not put any stuffing in these just because they're smaller and they hold their shape fine as is. So like for comparison, this is a leg and this is an arm, so it's just a little bit smaller. So let's do that. So our first 2 rows are going to be using the accent color, and then we will be switching to the body color for the rest of the leg. And as usual, we will be starting off with a magic ring with 6 stitches in it. Surprise, surprise. So let's do that. Just 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. So we've got our magic ring. Now we are going to move on to row 2, and we want to do a single crochet followed by an increase, and just keep repeating that around to the end so that we end up with 9 stitches. So our first stitch will be a single crochet. Our second stitch is going to be an increase. So 1, go back in, and get that polyfill off. And our third stitch is going to be a single. Fourth is going to be an increase. So there's 1, go back in. 2. Fifth stitch will be a single, and then our last stitch will be an increase. There's 1, go back in, and 2. So this is kind of going to like curve over, so I just kind of stretch it out a little bit so it lays a little bit flatter. Okay, I'm going to put my C-clip in the band that's on my hook. And so now we're switching over to our body color. And for this row around, we want to just single crochet around in the 9 stitches. But for this row, we will be just single crocheting in the front loops only, like we did with the legs. So go in through your first stitch, front loop only, grab your body color, and since we're changing colors, we're going to make a slip stitch. So through the stitch, through that loop, reclaim and slide under. And now we can just continue around with single crochets in the front loops only. A lot of these white bands that I have are quite small, like compared to the normal size bands. But I actually think it's better that way for Loomigurumi. Like a smaller band might make the stitches look less holy, I guess. I don't know. I was thinking about that. What if Rainbow Loom made like not as small as the Alpha Loom bands, but maybe like a tiny bit smaller than this? That way you wouldn't have so many gaps and stuff in your Loomigurumi creations. I think that would be kind of neat. Alright, so I just went around in the 9 stitches in the front loops only. So when we do our next row around, you're going to skip that first stitch there because of the slip stitch that we did. Okay, so now we're just going to be single crocheting around in the 9 stitches through the whole stitch for these next 3 rounds. So I'll do the first one with you, and then you guys can pause the video and do the remaining 2 rounds. So again, I'm going to skip that first one and just go into this one here. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, too big, 7, 8, and one more, and 9. Okay, now you just want to pause the video and do 2 more rounds of single crochets. Alright, so I did my 2 rounds extra on this, and now we want to decrease down to 6. So for row 7, we will be doing a single crochet followed by a decrease and repeating that pattern around till we end up with 6 stitches. So place your C-clip in the band that's on your hook. So my first stitch is going to be a single crochet. My second stitch is going to be a decrease. Third is going to be a single. Next is going to be a decrease. And then a single. And then a decrease. So you should have 6 stitches, and it might be kind of hard to see that, but there's 6 stitches there. Now what we want to do is for the next 2 rounds is just single crochet in the 6 stitches. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay. So I'm just going to go into my first stitch. And there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6, and then I'm going to do another row around. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. So once you've done that, you can go ahead and just go into your next stitch over, grab a body color band, bring it through all those loops, reclaim, tie into a slip knot, and then just like we did with the other leg, we're just going to squeeze those together, go into the stitches on the other side, bring a band through and up, and slip knot that. And then this is supposed to be semi-flat, so if yours is like sticking out like that, just go ahead and try to flatten that in a little bit. It might bubble out a little, but that's okay. So now you want to go ahead and make your second leg. So pause the video and then make your second, no, these are arms. Make your second arm, and then I'll meet you back here and we'll start on the tail. Alright, so for the tail, except for the first row, which is just the magic ring, the rest of this is going to have wrapped bands on. So make sure you do wrap bands for each stitch around after we do the magic ring. And then when I say mix up your AC and BC, that just means I just randomly, like I did the base with the body color, but then like I did wrapped bands back and forth between the body color and the accent color. So if you see me like changing colors, it's just because I'm randomly, you know, doing it so that it comes out like, you know, just mixed. Or you can do it just all one color. It's up to you guys. So we want to start out with the magic ring. And this one is not going to have wrap bands. This row will be the only row. So it's 3, 4, 5, and 6. Now what we want to do for row 2 is increase in each of these stitches so that we end up with 12. So I'm just going to place my C-clip on the band that's on my hook. And now I want to start adding wrap bands. So I'm going to stick my hook into the first stitch, grab whatever color you want, your tail to be mixed, you know, and then I'm going to wrap that once. Then I'm going to grab another band, slide that wrap band on that band, and then just do a single crochet. Make sure you kind of get that wrap band out of the way. Now I need to do another one, so I'm going to go in through my first stitch again, wrap a band around, and then do another single crochet. So that was my first increase. Now I'll go to my second stitch and do the same thing. So wrap band and crochet, go back in, band, and crochet. Go to your next stitch, do the same thing. Go back in that same stitch, add another wrapped band and another regular, and do your crochet. Go into your fourth stitch, your wrap band, regular band, crochet, go back in that stitch, and repeat. Go into your fifth stitch, go back into your, where is it? Go back into your fifth stitch, and do another one. Okay, and now I'm on my last stitch. Okay, so you should have 12 stitches now. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12. So that was row 2. Now we're going to be doing 3 rounds of just single crocheting around with our wrap bands. So I'll do the first one with you, and then you can pause the video and do the other 2. So just single crochets around. Just make sure you add your wrap bands in. So it will take a little bit longer to do, but it's not too bad. And there's 2. Three. 4. Oops. 5. 6. 7. 8. 9. 10. 11. And the last one here. And 12. So what you want to go ahead and do is 2 more rows, just like that one. Remembering your wrap bands for each stitch. So 2 more rows of single crochets in the 12 stitches, and then we will continue on to the last row of the tail. So I'll see you guys in a few. Okay, so I did my 2 extra rows, and if you wish, you can add a little bit of stuffing in there. You don't have to because it holds its shape pretty well, but I'm just gonna add like a little teeny bit in there. But that is totally up to you. And then we can start doing our decreases on our next row around. Again, you want to add your wrap bands to even this last row here. So we have 12 stitches now. If we decrease 6 times, we will end up with 6 stitches. So I am going to do a total of 6 decreases all the way around and then fasten it off. So we will start off with our first decrease. So grab a wrap band, don't forget your wrap bands. So there's one, and then I'm going to do another one. There's 2. Three. 4. 5, and then I'm going to do one more. Sorry if you can't really see what I'm doing here. These wrap bands and junk are getting in the way. Like I'm trying to hold them out of my way, but then it's kind of covering up what I'm doing. Alright, so we have decreased to 6 stitches and we still have this gap that we need to close. So I'm going to attach another band to this one. So I'm going to grab a body color band, bring it through and up onto my hook, and then slide under to make a slip knot. And then for each of these stitches around, I'm going to be going through the top loop only and threading this band through. So I'll go through the top loop of my first stitch and bring this band through. And then I'll go to my second one. Guess I'm going too close to my camera. And then I'll go to my third. And I'll go to my fourth. And if you can't find your fifth, that's fine. 4 will do the trick. But I'm going to go through my fifth. And then once you've done that, you'll just push down with your thumb and tie that. Well, hold it real tight. And then I just need to knot this off. So I'm going to go in some stitches next to this tying off band. So just stick your hook through. And I'm holding onto my tying off band while I bring this through. And then I'm going to bring this through the center to make an, and then I'm just going to push down with my thumb while I tighten that. Don't break your band though. And then you can tuck this into your tail. Doesn't have to be precise because we've got little furs, so you can kind of leave some of it hanging out and you won't notice. So this, where we just closed off our tail, is going to be the top, and then this bare part here is going to be the bottom. So, because you know it's kind of naked on the bottom, so we're just going to be using this part as the top of the tail and this part as the bottom. So go ahead and find in your magic ring here, just stick your hook through one of those stitches and grab a body color band, bring that through that stitch, and then reclaim onto your hook and tie that into a slip knot, and then do that across on the other side because we are using these to tie onto the body later. Just wanted to have those prepared so we don't have to do it later. So this is just going to be tied onto the butt. Okay, so we have made our legs, our arms, our ears, and our tail. And I have just spontaneously decided that this is going to be a two-part video just because I think it's going to be too long if I have all of the elements in one video. So go ahead and let's continue on to the next video, and we will start on the head and the body and then attaching it all together, and then we will be finished. So I will see you guys over at video 2.